chosen one. Welcome back. The light had led you back today as well. Right now, listen carefully. I have an urgent message to deliver today, and this message is not for everyone. If you do not walk the divine path of God, if your heart is not aligned with truth, you will feel uncomfortable and you will leave. But if you are truly chosen, if you are a sincere follower of God, you will stay because this message was guided to you at the exact right moment. This did not reach you by accident. Heaven arranged this encounter. What I am about to share will change how you understand yourself and how you interpret what you have been experiencing. It will bring clarity, peace, and strength to your spirit. Many of you have felt it already. People look at you longer than normal. Their eyes linger, yet their mouths remain closed. They stare at you, but they say nothing, and it leaves you wondering why. By the end of this message, you will understand the spiritual reason behind that silence, and you will stop questioning yourself. Stay with me until the end, because there is something you must hear that will settle your heart deeply. And if this resonates with your spirit, let me know by commenting 444 below. This simple act declares that you are divinely protected and fully aligned with what God is doing in your life. Section 2. The invisible mark. Why your presence disrupts rooms. Chosen one. I want you to settle your mind for a moment and listen calmly. What you are experiencing is not random, and it is not psychological imagination. There is something placed upon you that cannot be seen with human eyes. Yet it is deeply felt. God places an invisible mark on those he chooses. Not a mark of pride, not a mark of superiority, but a mark of assignment. This mark is not loud. It does not announce itself. It does not demand attention, yet it carries weight. And wherever weight enters a room, it shifts the atmosphere. That is why you can walk into a place quietly and still feel eyes turned toward you. You did not say anything. You did not do anything unusual, but something in the room changed when you arrived. People do not always stare because they admire you. Sometimes they stare because their inner world was disturbed. Your presence interrupts patterns they are used to. You carry order into chaos without trying. You carry calm into noise without effort. That is not something you learned. That is something God formed into you over time, often through pressure, solitude, and silence. Your presence speaks before your mouth ever opens. Long before you say a word, something in you has already communicated. It communicates integrity. It communicates restraint. It communicates depth. Many people are not used to being around someone who does not leak insecurity into the room. Most people enter spaces carrying the need to be validated, noticed, or approved. They talk quickly. They explain themselves. They try to fill silence because silence exposes them. But you are different. You are comfortable being still even when you do not realize it. You are anchored. And that anchor creates tension in those who live emotionally ungrounded lives. That is why the staring often comes with silence. They are trying to read you. They are trying to place you into a category that makes sense to them. But you do not fit their usual boxes. You are not loud enough to dismiss. You are not weak enough to overlook. And you are not familiar enough to control, so they observe. Chosen one, this is important for your healing. The silence you receive is not rejection. It is not disrespect. It is recognition mixed with uncertainty. Your spirit carries a kind of authority that does not ask permission, and authority makes people pause. It makes them measure their words. It makes them cautious, even when they do not consciously know why. There are people who sense that you see more than you say, that you understand more than you reveal. That awareness alone can be unsettling. When someone realizes they cannot easily read you, they instinctively slow down. They watch. They become quiet, not because you threatened them, but because something in them feels exposed in your presence. Stop shrinking yourself to make others comfortable. You are not meant to dilute what God placed upon you. You are not meant to perform smallness so others can relax. The discomfort you trigger is not cruelty. It is contrast. Light does not apologize for revealing what darkness tried to hide. This invisible mark also attracts attention from those who are spiritually hungry. Some stare because they feel safe near you. They may not know why, but something in your calm steadies them. Others stare because they feel judged by their own conscience, not by you. And some stare simply because they recognize strength that does not need to prove itself. You must learn to sit peacefully in that reality. You do not owe anyone an explanation for why you carry yourself the way you do. God shaped you deliberately. He allowed pressure to refine you. He allowed silence to mature you. He allowed misunderstanding to strengthen you. And now when you enter spaces, the residue of that process goes with you. You are not intimidating because you are aggressive. You are unsettling because you are grounded. You are not watched because you are strange. You are watched because you are rare. Stability in a broken world feels foreign to many people. The invisible mark you carry also serves as protection. It creates distance without hostility. It keeps access limited without you having to enforce it. God did not design you to be easily accessed by everyone. Some doors close simply because your presence reminds people they cannot manipulate you. You do not need to fix this. You do not need to soften it. You do not need to become more approachable by lowering your standards or dimming your awareness. What God placed on you is intentional. It will attract who is meant to come close and repel who is not. So the next time you notice the stares, breathe calmly. Do not tense up. Do not question yourself. Do not rush to fill the silence. Let them observe. Let them feel whatever rises within them. Your assignment is not to manage their reactions. Your assignment is to remain aligned. Section 3. When spirit recognizes spirit and fear stays quiet. Chosen one. I want you to breathe slowly as you listen to this part, because this is where many misunderstandings finally dissolve. Not every stare you receive comes from confusion. Some come from recognition. And recognition, when mixed with fear, often produces silence. There is a level at which spirit recognizes spirit before the mind has time to explain it. This recognition does not need language. It does not need introduction. It happens quietly, deeply, and instantly. When you encounter certain people, something inside them senses that you are not ordinary, even if they cannot explain what makes you different. And that moment of sensing creates a pause. Many people live their lives reacting, not discerning. So when they suddenly feel something they cannot control or explain, they freeze. That freeze often translates into silence. They stare because they are processing something their spirit detected that their mind has not yet categorized. I want you to understand this clearly. When spirit recognizes spirit, it bypasses intellect. It does not wait for approval. It simply knows. And knowing without understanding creates hesitation in those who are not spiritually mature. They feel reverence but do not know why. They sense authority but cannot name it. They recognize weight but have no reference point for it. This is why some people become nervous around you without provocation. It is not about your words or actions, it is about the frequency you carry. Your spirit operates at a different level, and that level disrupts their usual patterns of engagement. If this is making sense to you right now, take a moment to show your agreement. Give this video a like and subscribe to the channel so you do not miss future messages that are specifically designed for chosen ones like you. Fear also plays a role here. Not fear of harm, but fear of exposure. People who live behind masks sense that you see through pretense. People who rely on manipulation sense that you cannot be controlled. People who avoid truth sense that you carry it naturally, and all of that creates internal discomfort that manifests as silence. You have likely noticed this pattern. Some people are drawn to you, while others pull back without explanation. The ones who pull back are not necessarily your enemies. They are simply not aligned. Their spirit recognizes what your presence demands: honesty, integrity, depth, and they are not ready for that level of engagement. Let me speak gently to your heart here. You are not responsible for comforting people through their discomfort with truth. You are not obligated to make yourself smaller so others feel bigger. God gave you a spiritual frequency for a purpose, and that purpose includes disrupting comfort zones that have become cages. When spirit recognizes spirit, it also reveals intention. Some people stay quiet because they know their motives would not survive your discernment. Some people stay quiet because they are calculating how to approach you. Some people stay quiet because they are waiting to see if you are as grounded as you appear. Silence becomes a test, and you pass it by remaining unbothered. Chosen one, you must release the need to interpret every stare. You must release the need to justify every silence. Not everything requires your analysis. Some things are simply evidence that God placed something upon you that others feel but cannot fully comprehend, and that is enough. This recognition also works in reverse. There are people whose spirit you recognize instantly. You feel safe with them immediately, or you feel cautious without knowing why. That is your spirit communicating. Trust it. Do not override it with logic. Do not dismiss it because you want to be kind. Discernment is not unkind. It is protective. Understanding this spiritual recognition changes everything. It means you are not imagining the tension you feel in certain rooms. You are not being paranoid when you sense that someone is not being genuine. You are not overthinking when you pull back from someone who seems friendly on the surface. Your spirit is reading frequencies that your mind has not yet processed into words. Many chosen ones have been gaslit into doubting their own discernment. People told you that you were being judgmental when you were actually being discerning. They told you that you were being cold when you were actually being protective. They convinced you that setting boundaries made you unkind when boundaries are actually the kindest thing you can do for yourself and others. But here is what you must remember. Your ability to sense what others cannot is not a flaw. It is a feature. It is part of your spiritual wiring. And the more you honor it, instead of explaining it away, the stronger it becomes. When spirit recognizes spirit, it bypasses all the noise and gets straight to the truth. And truth is what sets you free. Section 4. The weight of silence. What it teaches you about yourself. Chosen one. I want you to shift your perspective for a moment. The silence you have been interpreting as something done to you is actually something being done for you. God uses other people's silence to teach you lessons you would not learn any other way. Silence teaches you self-reliance. When people do not affirm you, you stop seeking external validation. When people do not explain themselves, you stop trying to control their perceptions. When people do not engage, you learn to be full without their input. Silence removes the crutch of approval and forces you to stand on your own spiritual strength. Many of you were conditioned to believe that silence means something is wrong. You were taught that if people are not speaking, you must have done something to offend them. You were trained to fill quiet spaces with apologies, explanations, or performances. But God is using this season to break that conditioning. Silence also teaches you discernment. When you are not distracted by constant conversation, you begin to notice patterns. You see who approaches with genuine intent. You see who only comes around when they need something. You see who respects boundaries and who tests them. Silence gives you space to observe without interference. I want you to hear this clearly. Silence is not punishment. It is preparation. God is training you to carry influence without being influenced. He is training you to walk in authority without needing constant reinforcement. He is training you to be content in solitude, so you are never desperate in community. There is a maturity that only silence can produce. When you stop needing people to speak, you start hearing God more clearly. When you stop filling every gap with noise, you start noticing what the noise was covering. When you stop performing for approval, you start operating from purpose. Chosen one. Silence has also revealed something powerful to you. It has shown you who is truly for you. The people who remained present even when you were quiet. The people who did not demand explanations. The people who honored your process without needing to understand it. Those are your people. Silence filtered out the rest. Let me say this slowly so it settles. The silence surrounding you right now is creating space for the right voices to enter later. God is clearing the room. He is removing distractions. He is protecting you from premature connections that would slow down what He is building in you. Section 5. The power you carry without knowing it. Chosen one, there is something you need to understand about yourself. The power you carry is not something you created. It is something that was placed in you, and it has been growing quietly without your full awareness. This is why people react to you before you speak. This is why your presence alone shifts atmospheres. Power does not always announce itself. In fact, true power rarely does. It does not need volume. It does not need validation. It simply exists, and existence alone is enough to be felt. You have been carrying this quietly, and many of you did not even realize it until people started reacting. The stares you receive are not always about curiosity. Sometimes they are about assessment. People are subconsciously measuring whether you are a threat or an ally, whether you will challenge their comfort or reinforce it, whether you can be controlled or if you operate independently. And all of this happens before a single word is exchanged. I want you to sit with this truth. You make people think twice. You make people reconsider their approach. You make people aware of themselves in ways they are not used to. That is not arrogance. That is the effect of carrying something real in a world full of pretense. Your power also lies in your restraint. You do not need to prove anything. You do not need to defend yourself constantly. You do not need to explain your choices to people who would not understand them anyway. That restraint is what separates you from those who perform power but do not possess it. Chosen one. Many of you have been afraid of your own strength. You were taught that being powerful makes you intimidating. You were told that being confident makes you arrogant. You were conditioned to shrink so others could expand. But God is dismantling that lie. Your power is not meant to be hidden. It is meant to be stewarded. Here is where many chosen ones struggle. You do not want to make others uncomfortable, so you dampen what God amplified. You do not want to stand out, so you blend in. You do not want to seem proud, so you undervalue what you carry. But none of that serves the kingdom. It only serves fear. Let me be clear. The power you carry is not for dominance. It is for deliverance. It is not for control. It is for covering. It is not for show. It is for service. But you cannot serve powerfully if you are constantly apologizing for your strength. People will always have opinions about your power. Some will celebrate it. Some will fear it. Some will try to diminish it. Your job is not to manage their reactions. Your job is to remain obedient to what God called you to carry. Section 6. Why you do not owe anyone an explanation. Chosen one. I want to speak directly to the part of you that feels obligated to explain yourself. The part that feels guilty when people misunderstand you. The part that wants to clarify, justify, and defend your choices. I want you to release that burden right now. You do not owe anyone an explanation for how God is moving in your life. You do not owe anyone access to your process. You do not owe anyone a breakdown of your decisions. Some things are meant to stay between you and God, and that boundary is sacred. Many of you have been trained to believe that silence equals secrecy, and secrecy equals shame. So you over-explain. You share more than necessary. You give details to people who did not earn the right to your inner world. And every time you do that, you weaken the very boundaries God told you to build. Silence is not withholding. Silence is protecting. It protects your peace from unnecessary opinions. It protects your vision from premature criticism. It protects your energy from people who want to debate what God already confirmed. I want you to understand something powerful. When you stop explaining yourself, people stop feeling entitled to explanations. When you stop defending your choices, people stop attacking them. When you stop seeking approval, people stop withholding it as leverage. This does not mean you become cold or distant. It means you become discerning. You share with those who have proven themselves trustworthy. You open up to those who honor what you reveal. You explain to those who genuinely seek understanding, not ammunition. Chosen one. There is freedom in letting people wonder. There is power in allowing curiosity without satisfying it. There is wisdom in keeping certain things close until the right time. Jesus himself said, "Do not cast your pearls before swine." Some revelations are not meant for public consumption. The people who are meant to walk with you will understand even when you do not explain. The people who are meant to support you will trust your process even when they cannot see the full picture. The people who are aligned with your assignment will respect your boundaries without demanding access. And here is the beautiful part. When you stop explaining, you also stop exhausting yourself. You stop wasting energy on conversations that lead nowhere. You stop repeating yourself to people who were never going to understand. You reclaim your peace. So the next time someone stares at you in silence, do not rush to fill the gap. Let them sit with their curiosity. Let them process their confusion. Let them wonder. You are not obligated to make sense to everyone. You are only obligated to obey God. Section 7. The shift is coming. Soon they will speak differently. Chosen one. I want you to listen to this part with a calm heart, because this is where hope replaces tension. The silence you have been experiencing is not permanent. It is seasonal, and every season God designs has an expiration date. There is a shift coming, and you can already feel it quietly forming beneath the surface. The same people who once watched you without words will not always remain silent. The difference is not that you will change who you are. The difference is that God will complete what He has been forming in you, and clarity will replace uncertainty. Right now, many people do not know what to say to you because they cannot yet understand where you fit. They sense potential, depth, direction, but it has not fully manifested in visible form. People speak confidently about what they can define. They stay silent around what is still unfolding. But unfolding never stays hidden forever. There comes a moment when preparation becomes evident, when consistency becomes undeniable, when the quiet strength you have carried begins to produce visible fruit. And when that happens, the tone of interaction shifts. Those who once stared cautiously will begin to speak with respect. Those who once stayed distant will approach with questions. Those who once underestimated will recalibrate their words. Not because you demanded it, but because truth matured. Chosen one, this is how God protects you from premature praise and premature criticism. If people spoke too soon, their opinions would shape you. If they judged too early, their misunderstanding would discourage you. Silence keeps you free while God finishes His work. I want you to understand something deeply therapeutic here. The silence you experience now is evidence that your life is not yet fully explainable to others. And that is a gift. God is still writing. Interruptions are minimized, so the story remains intact. Many of you are closer to recognition than you realize. But recognition does not arrive loudly at first. It arrives as subtle shifts, a change in how people look at you, a change in how they address you, a pause before they speak, not out of fear, but out of respect. This is when silence transforms. The silence that once felt uncomfortable becomes the silence of attentiveness. And if you are feeling this shift beginning in your own life, I want you to declare it. Comment 444 below and let the universe know you are ready to step into this new season with clarity, confidence, and divine alignment. You will know this shift has arrived when you no longer feel the need to interpret reactions, when peace replaces analysis, when you stop wondering what people think because it no longer controls you. God does not elevate chaos. He elevates stability, and stability takes time to observe. Those who were never meant to walk with you will slowly drift away as clarity increases. Those who are aligned will step forward naturally. You will not need to recruit them. God will arrange encounters. This is also where humility must guard your heart. When people begin to speak differently, do not let pride replace peace. Recognition is not the goal. Alignment is. Recognition is simply the byproduct of obedience sustained over time. Some of you will notice that people who once ignored you now seek your opinion. Some who once spoke over you now listen quietly. Some who once avoided you now ask how you think. That shift is not about superiority. It is about credibility earned through consistency. Do not rush the shift. Do not force conversation. Do not announce your growth. Let it reveal itself naturally. God knows exactly when visibility becomes safe. Chosen one, this next season will feel lighter. Not because life becomes easier, but because your inner world becomes steadier. You will speak when necessary, remain silent when wise, and move without anxiety. The staring will decrease, the confusion will settle, and the silence will evolve into clarity. And when people finally speak, it will be different. Their tone will change, their posture will change, their words will carry respect, even if they do not fully understand you. That is when you will realize something powerful. The silence was never meant to make you doubt yourself. It was meant to prepare you for the weight of being heard. Stay patient, stay aligned, stay grounded. The shift is coming, and when it arrives, you will recognize it not by noise, but by peace. Section 8. Conclusion. Stay still. God is handling the rest. Chosen one. Let your mind rest here for a moment. Everything you have been experiencing now has a name, a purpose, and a divine reason. People stare at you and say nothing. Not because you are lacking, not because you are strange, and not because you are failing. They stare because something in you carries weight, and weight always slows a room down. You were never meant to chase words from people who are still trying to understand themselves. God allowed silence to surround you so your spirit could grow strong without distraction. He allowed observation without explanation, so you would learn stability, restraint, and inner authority. Nothing was wasted. Remember this clearly: you are not late. You are not behind. You are not overlooked. You are being prepared. And preparation often looks quiet to the outside world. You do not need to change who you are to be accepted. You do not need to explain what God is doing in you. You do not need to react to every stare or fill every silence. Your assignment is simple now. Stay aligned, stay grounded, stay still. God is handling conversations you are not meant to have yet. God is closing mouths that would speak too early. God is protecting you from noise that would disturb your peace. Trust that. Before we close, chosen ones, if this message spoke to your spirit, I want you to do something for me. Give this video a like so it can reach other chosen ones who need to hear this. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and turn on the notifications so you never miss a message designed specifically for your journey. Share this with someone you know who needs this clarity today. And finally, comment 444 below as a declaration that you are divinely protected, spiritually aligned, and walking calmly in your assignment. Let that number be a signal to the universe and to yourself that you are ready to embrace who God created you to be without apology. Stay still, chosen one. God is doing more than you can see. The silence is not rejection. It is redirection. The stares are not judgment. They are recognition. And the shift you have been waiting for is already in motion. Walk in peace, walk in power, walk in purpose. You are exactly where you need to be together. We rise toward the light.